I continue my exegesis on prayer, and today is titled On Prayer and the Life of King David. King David, favored by God even from his youth. David is chosen for a unique mission that would play a central role in the history of the people of God and in our own faith. Jesus is called the Son of David and fulfilled the ancient promises of a king completely after God's heart, in perfect obedience to the Father. David's own story begins in Bethlehem, where he shepherds his father's flock. He worked in the open air. Think of him as a friend of the wind, listening to the sounds of nature, enjoying the sun's rays. David is, first of all, a shepherd. He defends others from danger and provides for their sustenance. In this line, Jesus called himself the Good Shepherd, who offers his life on behalf of the flock. He guides them. He knows each one by name. Later in life, when David goes astray by having a man killed in order to take his wife, David immediately understands his sin when the prophet Nathan reproves him. David understands right away that he had been a bad shepherd, that he was no longer a humble servant, but a man who had become crazy for power, a poacher who looted and preyed on the flock. David had a poet's soul. He has only one companion to comfort his soul, his harp. And during those long days spent in solitude, he loves to play and to sing to his God. David was not a vulgar man. He often raised hymns to God, whether to express his joy, lamentations, or repentance. The world that presented itself before his eyes was not a silent scene. As things unraveled before his gaze, he observed a greater mystery. Prayer arises from the conviction that life is not something that takes us by surprise, but a stupefying mystery that inspires poetry, music, gratitude, praise, even lamentations and supplication in us. Biblical tradition holds that David was the greatest artist behind the composition of the Psalms. David dreamed of being a good shepherd. He was many things, holy and sinful, persecuted and persecutor, victim and murderer. He is an oxymoron all within himself. And like him, events in our own lives reveal us in a similar oxymoronic life. In the drama of life, all people often sin because of inconsistency. Like in David's life, there is one golden thread that runs through all our lives: prayer. David teaches us to let everything enter into dialogue with God, joy as well as guilt, love as well as suffering, friendship as much as sickness and suffering. Everything can become a word spoken to the you who always listens to us. David knew solitude in his thoughts and in his life, but he was in reality never alone. This is the power of prayer for all those who make space for it in their lives. Who make space for the Lord in their lives? Raise your hand. That's a goodly number. Thank you very much. Prayer makes each of us noble. It is capable of securing your relationship with God, who is the true companion on the journey of every man and woman in the midst of life's 1,000 adversities.